I feel very grounded, might not be the right term, but anchored in my belief in the Lord.
Mhm.
But I fight with the Lord every day, much of the day, because I'm, you know, without going into it, Nikos knows my story this year. I have had the hardest year of my life this year in every way I can imagine, ways I could never have imagined. Um, and breakups and family disputes and things of these natures that have pushed me beyond limits I didn't know I had. But at the same time, it's never made me doubt for a second, that the Lord is there. But it has made me like serving what I would call a boss that I respect, but I don't like the decisions that are being made. And I don't understand why we're doing this, but I respect you and I'm going to keep doing the work and I'm going to keep doing what you asked me to do, but I'm going to argue and I'm going to have
Yeah.
some bitterness about it even, if I'm really honest and if I were to describe it in those ways, and I wouldn't even be so kind to myself saying, hey, I'm like Israel, I'm wrestling with God. I'm literally like maybe arguing with him like he's my best friend, but my best friend happens to be my boss that I have to report to, but I'm going to think that maybe I know better in this situation, even though he's the creator of all things. There's no doubt about, he's the creator of existence. So I've been pushed hard in a lot of those times. And, even this week, I talked to Nikos. You just brought it up about having God at the center of things. And I mentioned that we've been having this conversation for the last year plus. And, somebody brought up to me after church on Sunday about surrendering. And that's been a theme, obviously. And anybody who's strong willed is probably has difficulty with surrender. And even though I try to think and believe that I can check my ego and be a good steward of humility, um, every time I think I'm surrendering, I look back later and go, I think I didn't really surrender. And then somebody brought it up on Sunday and said, was just listening to me and goes, I think you really need to embrace surrendering, and just out of nowhere. And I'm like, and I finally just felt like, I think I just don't have a clue how to actually surrender. And I know the prayer is, hey, Lord, you know my heart, you know me, show me, give me the tools to surrender, show me how to surrender, put it in me, whatever the ask is. But in that, I feel like, I think I'm a lot farther than I actually thought I was in this walk, farther behind than I thought I was, should I say. And then I was like, hey, maybe I should just pull the plug on having these conversations and trying to rally people to be, more warrior like and standing up for God. Because I felt like maybe God's not in this. Maybe I'm just making this because it's been my pursuit to try to rally people to be their best selves. And so I was like, I'm just going to call my guys and say, hey, I'm out. I'm not equipped for this. And I think I've just been pushing it and God's not in it because that's why we're not making the progress that I felt like we should have made by now. And I told that to Nikos, and Nikos is like, well, hey, man, these conversations we've had, the few times we've had them, have been some of the most meaningful conversations to me that I've had in a long time around the faith. So they're valuable to me. And I was like, okay, that's fair. And I feel the same way. And then, I was still going to just, well, maybe we just take a break. Because sometimes when you walk away from something, it finds a new life, new legs. Someone else picks up the baton and runs with it and takes it to a new destination. So, and then I was going to contact my little circle. And then, of course, the day I was going to do that, I get a text from one of them in that circle. And he goes, hey, man, my marriage just took a turn for the worse. I need you guys to pray for me. This is the worst it's ever been, kind of thing. And so then I was like, well, then we should just get together tonight. I mean, this is what we're supposed to do if we're warriors for God. And we're supposed to stand up and support each other. And So why don't we just have like I know you probably don't want to because you're in the thick of it right now, but why don't we just have kind of an emergency get together? And then I called some guys that never show up, said, hey, so and so is in a bad way. You could argue that he's even expressed suicide in the past from, if my wife were to leave me, I don't think I could live with that. And so I was like, this is a real thing. Like, this is an example of us stepping up in our community. And so 5 or 6 of us got together on no notice and went over there and ended up spending 4 hours talking about all kinds of things, and referencing scriptures. And, sure, he was exhausted by the end of it, but, he did express like, this was very valuable. I don't have a circle of other friends that I can rely on. You guys are the ones, and you guys all came here and we broke bread and we shared this. And so it made me think, okay, got the message, I was ready to pull out. And now you said you some guys responded favorably to this. That Nikos called me, he mentioned this conversation last night. So here we are, so again, God is saying, hey, you've been trying, you've been hitting a lot of dry holes. You didn't walk away. Here's a great conversation overseas. Thank you, Rob and Nikos. Hey, here's a positive impact on your immediate community with one of your brothers that really needs it.